So I'll show you where the Ugandan LGBT refugees are situated at in Kenya. As I said earlier on, there are two camps in Kenya. One is the Dadaab camp, which is the largest, and then the Kakuma camp that accommodates just below 50,000 refugees in total. Now, all the Kakuma camp is over here. This is within the country of Kenya. This green over here is Uganda. Up here we have Sudan, and then we also have Ethiopia here and Somalia on that side. So it is just situated there, very close to the border of Uganda, around the Karamoja area, in an area which is generally called the Turkana region. So this dot here is Kakuma camp. So refugees come from all over Africa, including very many from Somalia, from Ethiopia, and from Sudan. Countries where homophobia is still a huge problem. So the refugees, the Ugandan LGBT refugees that we are talking about, are actually situated over there in Kakuma in two groups. One group are those who arrived much earlier when the bill had just passed in Uganda, who have been cleared and have been transferred to that part of the camp that is referred to as the community area, with semi-permanent structures, small houses with a mud floor, and that can be, the story about those ones can be told another day. So those are about 23 in the community area, and then they are 35 of them who came much later, who are still at the reception area. And those are the ones who were attacked on Friday afternoon into the evening. So anyway, back to the updates. Once the LGBT refugees refused to leave the office of the High Commissioner for Refugees near Kakuma camp, as I said earlier, two officials from the Kenyan government were invited in to take over the situation. In fact, the UN officials said, we are also just accommodated and housed by the Kenyan government, just like you. So if we have failed to agree with you on this, then we are calling the Kenyan government to take over from here. And so that is why the two officials came in. One, as I said, it was the head of the refugee affairs in Kenya, and the other one was the regional police commander of the Turkana region, the Turkana area. So they also went through the same thing, tell us what happened, and the LGBT refugees explained what had happened, and these ones ordered them, the officials from the Kenyan government ordered them to go back to the camp. And then they also told them, you are not special. You're refugees just like the others. If you fail to go back to the camp, we shall use force. The Ugandan LGBT refugees still said, we are not going anywhere until protection is assured. We are not willing to die. And so they left them there, the officials left the refugees there, and then they saw, the Ugandan LGBT refugees saw the RPC, the regional police commander, make a call somewhere where he said to whoever was on the other end that, come in and take control of this area. Before they knew it, at 5 p.m., the Ugandan LGBT refugees saw the military coming in, soldiers. They say that there were about 70 of them with guns and batons. And before they made their attack, the UN officials came back and said, this is your final plea. Go back to the camp, or the Kenyan government is now taking over. The refugees again said no. But later talked among themselves and said, okay, let us go. Because the United Nations officials actually told them that they have prepared a safe place for them. So they accepted, got onto the truck. They got on slowly, so after 6 of them had gotten onto the truck, the military guys, the soldiers, started beating the rest up and throwing them on the truck. These are human beings being treated like beasts by the police that is supposed to protect them. And then the Kenyan police, the Kenyan security, the military guys, are still there saying, this is Kenya. You shouldn't have come here. We shall apply Kenyan law on you. We do not accept the mashoga, meaning the homosexuals. You are in the wrong country. We shall deal with you. These are the security. The security that is supposed to provide protection to these guys is the one now saying that they are illegal and that the Kenyan law will apply. But anyway, they were driven back to the camp in that truck. So once they got to the camp, where the Kakuma camp, the reception area, they got to where their tent was, their tents were, and they found that they had no space anymore. The tents were allocated to some other refugees. So they stood out there and asked the refugees to get out because those were their tents. The tents for the LGBT refugees. They said, no, we will not come out of these tents. Go find where else to go because this camp is for refugees and not for animals. So the LGBT refugees went back to the security organ within the camp and asked them to take care of the situation. By this time, other refugees had surrounded the LGBT refugees. Many of them. And they were saying, we are ready to ban you. You should not be living amongst us. And then the police, the security at the refugee camp, instead of helping, was shouting at them and asking them why they have to be gay. Why do you have to be gay? And if you're gay, then you're not supposed to be here. These are the security that are supposed to provide the protection. Why, if you're the same thing that the other police officers and other security agents were saying. And they were saying all these in front of the attackers. What kind of human being, responsible human being are you? When a vulnerable group, numerically very few, the minority, come to you to save their lives, and then you turn and talk back at them, condemning them for being who they are in front of their attackers, who are the majority. It was very horrible. So their leader, who I will call Zali for now, for security purposes, spoke out and said, this was now about 7:30 p.m. yesterday on Saturday, spoke up and said, we just want 2 things from you. 1, disperse the crowd for our safety. Number 2, find us a place where we can camp for tonight. And then the officials said, okay, we shall do that for you. They dispersed the crowd, and then they gave them new tents and took them to the border. At the moment, they are staying at the border of the camp, where there's hardly any electricity, hardly any water, and it's the real desert of the